Hello everybody and welcome to Dorms and Dragons. We'll be releasing regular D&D content here on the channel, and if you like what you do here and you want to see more, like and subscribe. Okay, we've officially gotten our 2021's first Unearthed Arcana. It is Gothic Lineages. So Gothic Lineages is 3 new races. We have the Dhampir, the Hexblood, and the Reborn. These are both races, and I think they're sort of closer to the Hollow one that we got in Explorer's Guide to Wildmount, where you can start middle of a campaign with it. As it says here, these options are special. You can choose one at character creation or at an appropriate time later in a campaign setting. So technically speaking, you can get these in the middle of a quest. You can get these at any point in the game as long as you and your DM discuss it and say that it's perfectly fine. It's going perfectly with Tasha's Culture of Everything here, with languages and ability scores working the same way that they did for the custom lineages. So you choose one for +2 and you choose one for +1 when it comes to ability score increase, and you start with common and one other language that you and your DM decide upon. So I think that's how they're going to start doing that for now on, which is good, but at the same time I think it does kind of take away from a bit of what made the individual races unique, though I understand why they're doing it, and it's for a good reason. They start by showing all the list of creature types because now we're going to have a few races that have multiple. These 3 races have the extra character type of Construct, Fae, and I believe Undead for the Dhampirs. So the rules about having more than one is what's really important in this entire section. So if something works for one of your types, it works for both. So Cure Wounds works on humanoid, but it doesn't work on undead. But if you're humanoid and undead, it works for both. It works for you completely fine. Similarly, though, if something works for undead and doesn't work for humanoids, it'll work for you. So turn undead might cause you issues if you're playing with a cleric that has turn undead. You might actually get in trouble for that because it works on you. The first of the 3 races is the Dhampir, which is a bit of a vampire light. You get a bunch of vampiric abilities, as well as a Dhampir Hunger, which is very unique. They have cerebral spinal fluid as an option, as well as esoteric humors. I think most people will probably choose blood or raw meat or flesh, but I love the idea of a Dhampir who just lives off of the energy of dreams or psychic energy, or even a color from one's appearance. So very unique, very flavorful. And then, of course, the Dhampir Origins section right here is also very unique in the fact that all of these origins seem to have happened in the campaign or prior. None of them seem to happen as a young child. This happened to you. It's very much so you can do this in the middle of your campaign if you want to. These origins happened on a quest. That's not true for all of these races, but for the Dhampirs it's especially true. The Dhampir traits are pretty unique as well for their kind, I guess. They're undead and humanoid, so like I said before, turn undead will work on you, but so will cure wounds. So you take some issues, you get some good bonuses. They have a bonus +5 to speed here at 35 feet, so it's faster than your average Joe, but at the same time, not that much faster. You're not super over fast, I guess. A lot of these races have an issue with balancing, I think. The Dhampir is the most balanced, in my opinion. Dark Vision is, of course, why not give it Dark Vision at this point? Spider Climb is very unique and vampiric. You know, you're climbing at your walking speed now, as well as at 3rd level, you can now move up, down, and across vertical surfaces, even being upside down on ceilings, but your hands are free. You're just crawling with your feet. Your Vampiric Bite, you get a fanged attack, which adds your Constitution modifier to the attack and to the damage. It deals 1d4 plus your con damage. So that's very unique in the fact that you're actually dealing Constitution-based damage. But these things, you also get some bonuses whenever you do bite. So if you hit a creature that isn't a construct or an undead, you can regain hit points equal to the damage dealt by the bite, or gain a bonus to the next ability check or attack roll you make to the bonus equals the damage. This sort of seems a little bit overpowered when you look at it, but then you realize that it is equal to the number of times your proficiency bonus, and it doesn't deal a whole lot of damage, so max you're ever going to get from this is 9 HP or +9 to hit, which is good. You know, it's very strong, but it's only once. and that means you still have to attack somebody with this thing. Next, we have the very unique Hexbloods, which are, I think, Hag Light. You know, all these are just versions of the monster manual, but shortened down. So Hexblood is a hag, pretty much. They are the heir to hags. So you can actually become a hag using this race. It talks about how it's irreversible and how most Hexbloods wouldn't do it. But it also describes that Hexbloods that turn into hags become NPCs as soon as it happens. Unless your DM rules otherwise, of course. So you're risking losing your character if your DM doesn't want you to be a hag. But it does seem like a very unique thing that only a Hexblood could do. Hexblood origins are a little bit less when it comes to the Dhampir, where it was like it happens at the beginning of a deal. But this, as it says, seeking as a child right here, kidnappers when you were a child. A lot of this is your actual origin as a character. You would probably start a campaign as a Hexblood, whereas a Dhampir, you might enter in the middle. Hexblood traits, you are a Fae and a humanoid, so that's pretty cool. You're medium or small, just like the Dhampir. You get to choose that as soon as you choose your lineages. Speed is 30 feet, so it's just average, just like the next one's going to be the Reborn. You get dark vision. I believe all of them get dark vision, actually, of 60 feet. Fae resilience, you gain advantage on saving throws to avoid being charmed. Hex magic, you cast Disguise Self and Hex. With this trait, intelligence, wisdom, or charisma, which one you choose at the beginning of this lineage is your spellcasting modifier. So you get free range to choose whatever you want. Once you cast either of these spells with a trait, you can't do so again, but you can use spell slots to cast them. So they are just regular spells known if you have spell slots. And the most unique ability, and my favorite one in this entire UA, is the Magic Totem. It's just the idea that you take a piece of your body, be it a fingernail, a lock of hair, or even a tooth, and you give it to somebody, and that person has the ability to telepathically communicate with you, like in the message spell. As long as they are within 10 miles, the message can contain up to 25 words. In addition, if they're within 10 miles, you can use an action to enter a trance for 1 minute, during which you can see here from the token and as if you were located where it was. So if the person's in danger and you know it as a player, but your character doesn't, you can just say, well, I'm going to enter my trance and see what's going on. So it's a very, very unique ability. I absolutely adore it. I think it's going to be a great addition. I think just the idea of saying, oh, here's a tooth, there you go, is very unique to the Hexblood. Additionally, there is now the Reborn. The Reborn is exactly what it says it is. You are reborn. You were once dead, and now you're back. Lost memories are one of the things on this table, so you recall a physical painful moment. What mark or scar on your body does it relate to? So you're not like in a new body. You are literally just reborn. So a birthmark was actually a scar from a long time ago. A memory causes you to shed a tear. Is it bitter or cheerful? Does it recall making you feel the same way? You also get your Reborn origins. Again, I think that the Dhampir does it best when it comes to making this in the middle of a quest. But since the Reborn has to do with you obviously dying first, you could say that if your character dies, you became a Reborn. And in that way, I think that it works very, very well, just like the Dhampir does, better than the Construct does, or the Hexblood does. The Reborn traits, you are a humanoid as well as a construct or an undead, so you get to choose between this. You can be a construct if you want to be that, or an undead. I think the idea of being a construct is really cool because the mending spell works on construct, so you could just be casting mending on your fellow ally and it would work for you since it works on a construct. Your size is medium or small, and you get the speed of 30 feet just like everyone else does besides the Dhampir. And then you get dark vision, obviously. This is the one that I think might be a little bit too powerful just because of deathless nature. You get advantage on saving throws against disease and poison and resistance to poison damage. That is absolutely fine. No one cares about poison damage at this point. But you also have advantage on death saves, which, okay, sure, we'll go with that. You have advantage on death saves. It's a little much, but you're not getting a whole lot of abilities, so sure. You don't need to eat, drink, or breathe, so drowning's out of the game. And you do not need to sleep and magic can't put you to sleep. You can finish a long rest in 4 hours if you spend those hours in an inactive, motionless state, during of which you retain consciousness. So you have a shorter long rest, you don't need to sleep, you don't need to eat or breathe or drink, and you have advantage on death saves. Like, I get that the whole idea is that you died and you're coming back, but at the same time, I feel like some of this is a little much. Maybe getting rid of the long rest thing would be good. The advantage on death saving throws is a lot, though, in my opinion. And then knowledge of your past life, you temporarily remember sporadic glimpses of the past, perhaps faded memories from ages ago, or a previous life. When you make an ability check and use a skill, you roll a d6 and add a number rolled to the check. That's a pretty simple ability. I like it. I like the idea of just saying, oh, I remember one time I picked a lock. I can do that this time if I just roll a d6. You can do this equal to your proficiency bonus, just like you can for the Dhampir. All together, in my opinion, this is a very, very unique and very, very excellent Unearthed Arcana. I think that it fits the Gothic lineages. I think that it's going to hopefully actually be a real thing. I hope that it gets put into a book, because I love the Dhampir. I especially love the Hex Blood and the Reborn. They're all great. I think the Hex Blood is my personal favorite, just because I love the idea of I'm going to become a hag today, but the Dhampir is great if you're in the middle of a quest and you're like, I want to be a vampire, but my DM doesn't want to give me that much power. Just be a Dhampir. Or your character dies and you don't want to be a hollow one, become a Reborn. These are all very unique, and a little tweaking would make them better balanced, but as of right now, they aren't that unbalanced. They're just slightly, some of them are a little bit underpowered compared to other things, and some of them are a little bit more overpowered. I love that it rules that if you do become a Reborn or you become a Dhampir or a Hexblood, the bonuses that you get to your ability scores are changed completely. So if you got a +2 to strength, you no longer do unless you give yourself a +2 to strength. So you're not going to be able to stack those, which is great, because then everyone's just going to want to become one. I think that the way that they're working in the Tasha stuff is very unique and is going to work especially for these. And I'm excited to see what they do next with all of this. I think it's going to be a very great improvement to D&D as a whole.